Well, what's up again there, guys? Brian here at 3TR, and I have a pretty interesting gaming topics for you to share for you guys today. Now, for those of you who haven't heard, unless you've been living under a rock for the past few days, you would know that it was announced 2 days ago from a number of news sources that Sony has announced that for the first time in over 20 years that they will not be attending E3 next year in 2019. Now, this is a major shock because I think from how their presentation played out this year, and when you kind of look at the state of E3, I think it's a sense that times are changing for E3. Perhaps E3 just isn't as special as it once was, and maybe that might due to the fact that perhaps, I have nothing to back this up on, but they decided to go public and have it be open to the public, as opposed to when I went to E3 back in 2013, where you actually had to be invited to go there, because I think at the time I was writing for a newspaper, a local newspaper here in Vegas, and so I was able to actually get a media pass to go to E3, and I think that that was really one of the most special moments that I've ever experienced as a gamer or as a person, because I kind of felt like I had finally made it, because it used to be a special event, but now that it's all public, it doesn't quite feel that way. Now, this also might lead into the possibility, or probably the almost semi-guarantee, that the PlayStation 5 announcement, which they've kind of almost said that they're working on the next generation, but they haven't officially stated it, and that tells me that we're probably getting close to a major reveal. And I think that by leaving E3, they have other options, and then they can have all the focus be towards their product, and they don't have to share the limelight with the other developers. And I think that could be for the best, because as much of a big Sony fanboy as I've been for probably the last 20 years, I can openly admit that overall, I really did not like their press conference that they had at this year's E3. I thought it was horribly handled, and if it was bad for me and others who were watching this online, I can't even imagine how bad it was for people who actually attended this event. Now, Sony is constantly in a state of wanting to reinvent themselves or do things different, or perhaps try a new approach, and perhaps this is just the next step in doing that. My guess is that more than likely they're probably either going to have the reveal of, well, maybe not the reveal, maybe they're going to make an official announcement of the PlayStation 5 at PlayStation Experience next year, because the reason that they didn't want to do it this year, which I was saddened about because that had always been a highlight of my year for the past 3 years, is that they just didn't have enough content. They kind of really, semi-quote, blew their load on a very subpar conference, and I'm guessing they had maybe wished they had saved that for their own conference. So they're not going to repeat that mistake again. So hopefully, I think that at PlayStation Experience next year, which I'm sure they'll do unless they decide to move it earlier in the year instead of having it take place in December, and then going into 2020, I think we're going to get an official reveal of the system itself. We're going to get a release date, we're going to get a price, and then if they stay true to their release dates that they've had for their last number of consoles over the last number of generations, then we're probably going to get a release sometime in November 2020, which I think works perfectly because now you're entering the holiday season. And it hints at the possibility that, maybe, times are starting to change. Maybe just some of these conferences, because there's so many different conferences everywhere, and I think at some point all these other developers are going to start to try doing their own individual conferences. Maybe they want to have the focus be on them instead of having to spread it out at E3. Who knows what will happen. Could you imagine what would happen if we ended up having an E3 where Microsoft, because they actually can have their own conference, and then Sony has theirs, and Nintendo has theirs at somewhere else? That'd be crazy. There'd be really no need to watch E3 anymore. But this is just speculation on my part. All I know is that whatever decision or whatever plans that they're going to do for their systems, I'm all for it. I've been a Sony fanboy all my life. They have very rarely let me down, and I can only hope that they learn from their mistakes from this year's E3 and decide that they want to put all their focus in their own conference, hopefully next year, which, hopefully they'll move it earlier in the year or just keep it in December, which I think would be a semi-mistake, but, it's up to them, because wherever conference, wherever they decide to go, I'm all for it. I know I'm not alone. I'm sure there's many Sony fanboys and girls that no matter where Sony or what they want to do, we're all going to be there. I know I would go to a conference. And so, yeah, that's just my initial thoughts on just why I think it's not such a bad idea for Sony to not go to E3 because of the current state that the conference itself is in, since making it public a few years back, or a couple of years back I should say. And I'd really like to know what are your guys' thoughts. Tell me, why do you think Sony does not want to go to E3 anymore? Do you think it's a positive or a good thing? Share your thoughts with me and everyone else in the comments down below. And if you like this video, feel free to like, comment down below, and please subscribe to track me in my future videos. And don't forget to press one of the links in the description down below to follow me on Twitter or friend me on Facebook to keep track of me and my future projects. Like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I'll see you next time.